Hello everyone, glad to be back. Today is 17th of May now, it's almost 11 o'clock in the morning Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first update today in which I will share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. There are quite a few very significant developments and news that I like to share with you for this moment, and I will start with the Ukrainian special military operation, if I may, and the first topic of course situation in and around Bakhmut. As I predicted yesterday, Zelensky's regime lost control over the main part of this so-called citadel area. I did share on my Telegram channel this graphic here, according to which this so-called nest area and constructor area is under Russian control, now under control of PMC Wagner units, and what is left under control of Zelensky's regime is Domino area and a little part in private sector. Let me show you on this map. So this is Domino area, by the way. This is under control of Zelensky's regime still. This small area here and the private sector. This pro-Ukrainian map, of course, not acknowledging any Russian success, but even though this another map is not updated yet, we can clearly see that under control of Zelensky's regime is just a few little roads in the private sector, and this domino area on the outskirts of Bakhmut. In the southern flank, there are some few small areas also that still under control of Zelensky's regime, or at least disputed. There are some reports on some Telegram channels that Zelensky's regime did start withdrawing forces in rapid pace, and even though in official Russian media outlets I did not find any confirmation of this, too many sources are reporting that from yesterday PMC Wagner units are noticing a fast withdrawal of forces that are still loyal to Zelensky's regime, but probably it will take at least a day or two before PMC Wagner units will be able to establish control over the Domino area and the entire Bakhmut, basically. Entire this territory that formally still under control of Zelensky's regime. As I understand, retreating forces of Zelensky's regime are trying to stay in their ground in Krasnoye, this village, but I don't think they will be able to hold on to this area for long. Eventually, in coming days, after Bakhmut will become under full Russian control, my guess is that Russian forces quite rapidly will move forward and establish control over this channel here. And then next stage will be Chisov Yar, of course. Some experts are saying that it's not going to be easy to establish control over the Chisov Yar straight away because it's on the high ground, but other experts are saying that because Chisov Yar don't really have such high-rise buildings as Bakhmut did, for PMC Wagner units it will be not as difficult to establish control over the Chisov Yar that it was during the battle for Bakhmut. Let's wait and see, but we are definitely witnessing final hours of battle for Bakhmut. That's my take on it. During the day we will of course learn some more about situation in Bakhmut, and I will share all the additional information on my Telegram page. Now let me give you a quick summary of overall situation on the front line. It's not really much changes. Kherson area and Zaporozhye area, artillery duels once again, nowhere to be seen. This anticipated by the West and many in Ukraine. large-scale counteroffensive of Zelensky's regime, which will never take place, as I said from very beginning. Donetsk direction, of course, it's artillery duels and close-range combat, especially in the direction of Marinka and Avdiivka. Bakhmut is a hot point as always. Same goes for Seversk area and Kupiansk. Lately, Kupiansk direction did become quite a hot point on the front line, and Russian side did manage to achieve some local scale success as a result of offensive operations, but nothing on the large scale yet, because as I understand, Russian side is also waiting situation to be resolved around Bakhmut first of all, and then probably Russian side will take some time to deal with the local scale offensive operations that Zelensky's regime will be forced to conduct today or tomorrow or maybe in next few weeks, but I'm quite sure that Washington and London will not allow Zelensky to postpone this so-called counteroffensive much longer, because they are desperate for any good news from Ukraine, really, and that they are not receiving. That's why they probably are starting openly lying through the propaganda outlets about dozens of Kinzhals that Zelensky's regime did shut down during previous Russian missile strikes, because they are desperate for some good news from Ukraine and they don't have it. They have none of it, and that's why I'm quite sure in coming days or weeks they will force Zelensky to conduct offensive operations in direction of Azov Sea to cut this land bridge. But as I said, Zelensky's regime, as I said many times before, Zelensky's regime don't have enough forces to conduct large-scale counteroffensive, but they have enough reserves to start local-scale offensive operations. And even though they will not achieve much with these local-scale offensives, basically, in my understanding, beginning of the Ukrainian offensive operations in Zaporozhye and Kherson region will be also beginning of the end of Zelensky's presidency, and probably even the beginning of the end of Ukrainian armed forces as a more or less capable entity. Let me continue now, and this is RIA Novosti's report, according to which informed sources, they told RIA Novosti that Patriot air defense systems that were delivered to Zelensky's terrorist regime by Washington, by Biden's administration, was destroyed with the MiG-31K fighter interceptor, in this case bomber also, because MiG-31Ks are carrying Kinzhal hypersonic missiles, and according to Russian side, Patriot in Kiev during the previous strikes were destroyed by Kinzhal missile. And by the way, we did have a confirmation of this information not just from Russian side but also from Western media outlets, in this case CNN and Reuters also did report that Patriot air defense system was damaged during the Russian missile strikes. And these confirmations are based on the sources of Reuters and CNN. We all understand that these so-called media outlets are tools of globalists and Western criminal elites, and they are trying to minimize damage, reputational damage to a Western military-industrial complex, and especially Raytheon company, which is, if I'm not mistaken, are producing Patriot air defense systems. I did even see some charters this morning, and price for And many companies from US military industrial complex are beginning to lose their price of their shares because of destruction of Patriot air defense systems. And by the way, yesterday afternoon, Reaper, one of the biggest Russian language channel on Telegram, did report that it was not just one Patriot air defense systems that was destroyed, but two. One was entirely destroyed, and the second one was partially destroyed. So that's what we have in Russian sources. But yet again, Western sources are trying to minimize damage. It's a damage control operation now from their part, for their part, and they are saying that Patriot missile systems were damaged, but not entirely destroyed. But anyway, Russian side did quite a good job to take out Western military equipment that was delivered to Zelensky's terrorist regime. And I'm not talking about just this instance of destruction of air defense systems. During the previous days, we all know that Russian side was very successful to totally destroy ammunition depots of Zelensky's regime, especially in the western regions of Ukraine. And as you know, during the previous days, many sources did report that there were even rising gamma radiation in some western regions of Ukraine, and not just that, but also even in Poland. Probably wind was blowing in the direction of west, and this destroyed ammunition that was delivered with the depleted uranium that was delivered to Zelensky's regime by United Kingdom. Dust from it probably moved in direction of west, and now rise in radiation has been recorded not just in western regions of Ukraine but also in Poland. But yet again, on official level, we don't have a confirmation of this information. We should take this in account also. And by the way, on my Telegram channel, I also share. I did share many news on every day on our hourly base, really. But this is, for example, yesterday's strike in Kharkov. So Russian side did continue its strikes against logistical and military infrastructure of Zelensky's regime. And as you can see, quite a large explosion. I guess one more ammunition depot left Chat yesterday, and Russian side launched not just drones but also caliber missiles. Some of them was launched from by Black Sea Fleet, and strategic bombers also were in air. And by the way, this is, for example, also destruction of video footage of destruction of ammunition depot in Nikolaev direction. So as you can see, two missiles without any problems did hit their targets. And this is information that I just said from Reuters, that they are also confirming that Patriot air defense systems was destroyed by Russian side. Let me continue now, and this is RIA Novosti's report, which is based on statements from Shoigu, who said that Zelensky's regime is shutting down more, in their statements are shutting down more Kinzhal missiles that Russia is even using, which is, I mean, this is kind of trolling from Shoigu. And we do understand that after all, even Kinzhal is just a missile, for God's sake. It may fail because of some malfunction. By accident, even Patriot probably may hit this missile, or even some other air defense systems. I mean, why this much hype around this topic? I truly don't understand, because after all, this is just a missile. Yes, it's more difficult to intercept, but eventually any missile can be intercepted. because once you have further development of air to ground or ground to ground missiles, you eventually gonna end up with the rapid development of air defense systems also. That's a constant race. And of course, at one point, air defense systems will be able to deal with hypersonic missiles. It's just a matter of time. So that's why I truly don't understand why so much hype about it, and why Zelensky's regime or Western elites are thinking that if they say some crap that they did shut down 6 or 10 or 55 Kinzhal missiles, it will make their air defense systems greater than they are really, or it will fool someone. I mean, I don't understand why they are doing this kind of stuff, but anyway, you can see that it's not just Prigozhin or Medvedev can troll Western elites. Shoigu also can, and he said that Zelensky's regime did manage to shut down more Kinzhal missiles that Russian side did use during the previous strikes. So let me continue now. This is TASS News Agency's report, according to which Russian Defense Ministry said that Russian air defense systems did manage to shut down 7 Storm Shadow missiles. Well, we can take with a pinch of salt this report also. We can take with a pinch of salt any reports that are coming from officials. It's these difficult times now that we should always be critical, and critical thinking, after all, is a good way to go. But because Russia truly has one of the best air defense systems in the world, and probably best, I don't really doubt that Russian side did manage to shut down some Storm Shadow missiles, long-range cruise missiles that was delivered to Zelensky's terrorist regime by UK recently. But how many missiles were shut down? 7, 5, 3, or more than that? I don't know. But to be honest, when it comes to Russian air defense systems, I don't have reason to doubt that they are very, very capable, because they truly are. Let me continue now. TASS News Agency's report here, according to which Stoltenberg, head of NATO, made yet another statements about Ukraine and this conflict, and he said that it's up to Ukraine to decide when it will start its counteroffensive. As you can see, pressure on Zelensky's regime is rising on daily basis now. And this kind of statements is also part of the pressure, because this constant manipulation with the topic of Ukrainian counteroffensive clearly highlights a situation that Zelensky's regime are in right now. They have to start some counteroffensive, otherwise they will rapidly lose support of many European states. Maybe not the United States, not now at least, maybe not the UK, but many other Western states will start asking questions. I mean, we are delivering weapons, delivering money, and where all this stuff goes. You are not conducting counteroffensive, you are not achieving nothing, you are losing, basically, and then, you know what, we are out of this. So that's why pressure will rise, and that's why I said that today or tomorrow or in next few weeks, Zelensky's regime eventually will be forced to conduct local-scale offensive operations, because they are not capable to do anything in the large scale. And this will be done, even though I'm quite sure military leadership of Zelensky's regime are very well informed that they will not achieve anything. They're gonna sacrifice now these last reserves that they have just to maintain some support from the West. That's how crazy they are, and it seems like, for now at least, militaries leaders of Ukrainian military are not ready or not capable to say no to Zelensky or to Western masters of entire regime in Ukraine. Because it's just too obvious, even though I'm not military expert, even for me it's obvious that if they will start these offensive operations, it will be sacrifice of last reserves of Zelensky's regime just to maintain support of West. Because they will achieve nothing, absolutely nothing, just more death and just more destruction. Let me continue, and this is RIA Novosti's report, according to which President of South African Republic made a statement that he has a talk with Putin and Zelensky, and South Africa is planning to play more proactive role to bring sides to the peace negotiations. Well done on part of South Africa, of course. It's nice to see. It's nice to see that BRICS nations are very proactive when it comes to pushing narrative of peace talks. But unfortunately, as long as Washington and London are not willing to talk about peace and ending of this conflict in Ukraine, and not just conflict in Ukraine itself, but this conflict between Russia and Western elites, all these attempts from BRICS nation countries or other countries like Hungary or Turkey, for example, all these attempts will unfortunately fail. But still, it's good that more and more countries, and very important countries, when it comes to regional or worldwide influence, are actively becoming involved in this movement to bring this conflict to the end. That's a great development, but unfortunately, as long as Washington and London are not willing to talk peace, we will not see any huge breakthrough in this direction. So this is TASS News Agency's report. Very important informations we are getting from Seymour Hersh, award-winning US journalist. This time Hersh did share with us information that Biden is not getting proper intel information about conflict in Ukraine, and Biden is not really aware what is going on in Ukraine in reality. And to be honest, I do believe that Hersh is absolutely right. First of all, this journalist never writes anything without proper sources. That's first of all, and we don't have any reason to doubt any reports from Seymour Hersh. And secondly, I think Biden and his administration are out of touch with reality, Biden especially. And we all not just know this, but we see this on so many video from US, and it's not surprised at this stage. It's not really surprised that US Secret Services are not informing Biden, because he may say anything during his one of the briefings that he makes. He cannot be trusted. That's it. He is an old man. He is losing concentration. Sometimes he seems like he don't really understand where he is and how to leave stage. And I mean, he's just old man at this stage, and you cannot demand too much from old person with deteriorating health. So I do believe Seymour Hersh's report, but same time I do understand why Biden is not getting proper intel about any topic, not just Ukraine. And by the way, Seymour Hersh also wrote about Ukraine and the neighboring NATO member states, neighbors of Ukraine. And according to Seymour Hersh, some states with the leadership of Poland now are secretly demanding from Zelensky to begin peace talks and to end this conflict, which is, for me personally, was surprised to see this kind of information. But when I think about it, it's become clear for me that I guess Poland now, because Poland is leading this movement, and these Eastern European states that are secretly advising Zelensky to end this conflict. My guess is that Poland is now moving in direction of retaking some Western Ukrainian territories that was part of Poland before Second World War, and that's why I guess Warsaw will now start little by little, step by step, but escalating with Ukraine. First, on the first stage, it will be behind the scenes, and this kind of information definitely gives Poland, for example, opportunity to say, once they will retake some Western Ukrainian territories, that they were advising Zelensky to end this conflict. They were helping Ukraine, they were advising them, and they are doing everything to help them, but they did not listen, and that's why they're gonna take back these territories that were belonging to Poland before Second World War. So basically, Poland is preparing ground for occupation of Western Ukrainian states, and Poland is not alone. Hungary is also part of this movement, and I guess Romania, one way or another, also, maybe even Slovakia, and as I understand, even Baltic states, Litva, Estonia, and Latvia, because they are acting together with Poland for quite a while now, and Poland itself has quite significant support from Washington and London, so probably entire this campaign was created with active involvement. Entire this plan was generated with active involvement of Washington, London, Warsaw, and then other capitals also. And as you know, Hungary was very open when it comes to Transcarpathia. Budapest said many times that human rights of ethnic Hungarians in Transcarpathia region were ignored by Zelensky's regime, which is true, by the way. Zelensky's Nazi and terrorist regime was acting insane, not just against Russian speakers and Russian language, but they do almost the same, not in the same scale, but they were extremely insane towards ethnic Hungarians and Hungarian language. By the way, we all should always remember that in Crimea, Tatar language of ethnic Tatars that are living Crimea become a regional language only when Crimea become part of Russia, because before that regime in Kiev did not even care about this ethnic minority, did not even acknowledge their presence. So that's how insane and criminal in their essence this regime is, that was established in Ukraine with active involvement of US and EU. So yes, quite interesting information. I said many times before that, in my opinion, Poland will definitely retake Western Ukrainian territories that was part of Poland before Second World War, and I'm quite sure Hungary will also take control over the Transcarpathia region, and maybe Romania and Slovakia will also get involved. So after this conflict will end, maybe nothing will be left from Ukraine that we know, or maybe Kiev and surrounding areas only will be left that will have such a name as a Ukraine, this landlocked state that will have such name. Because I don't know what will happen with Kiev, really. Will Russian side establish control over the Kiev, or will, during the negotiations, will Russia will agree to remain some sort of statehood of Ukraine with the capital Kiev and surrounding areas. But when it comes to rest of the territories, I said many times before, from Kharkov region to Odessa region, everything will be under Russian control. And when it comes to western parts, of course, Hungary, Poland, and possibly Slovakia and Romania will retake territories that were part of those countries before Second World War. Let me continue now, and this is TASS News Agency's report, according to which Russian State Duma, Russian Parliament, denounce treaty. Let me translate this for you to be exact. So, the State Duma denounced the treaty on conventional armed forces in Europe. If you remember, I did report about this quite some time ago, that Russian side was planning to denounce this treaty, and to be honest, my take was that this treaty should be denounced from very first day when NATO expand eastwards. But and it's not really understandable why for Moscow it took so long to denounce this treaty. But eventually, yes, Russian side did it, and now Moscow can deploy any forces, any amount of forces and military equipment anywhere it finds necessary, which is right move, especially now. So this is also interesting. RIA Novosti is reporting about statements that head of Ukraine's military intelligence, Kirill Budanov, made yesterday. This mass murderer and terrorist, in interview with some blogger and journalist Valery Savchuk, basically openly admitted that he and his office, this military intelligence of Ukraine, are involved. He did openly admitted that he is involved, and his office is involved in terrorist activity on Russian soil. He did not mention names of Russian journalists and public figures that they did kill during the terror attacks, but he did not deny either their involvement. But this is not a surprise to anyone. I was saying for how long now that this animal Budanov is a war criminal. He is a terrorist and should be treated as he deserves. But unfortunately, Russian side not yet declare Ukraine's military intelligence as a terrorist organization. I don't know when the Russian side will designate them as terrorists, but I mean, they truly are ones, because they are openly saying that they are involved in terror activity on Russian soil. And just recently, if you remember, very same Budanov was saying that they were killing Russians and they will continue to kill Russians, not just in Russian territory, but all around the world. So you can judge on your own how sick this terrorist is, this terrorist animal, though. Let me continue, and this is RIA Novosti. And by the way, when it comes to Ukraine state institutions, I believe SBU, military intelligence, and many other, even defense ministry, should be designated as terrorist organizations and dealt accordingly. And Zelensky should be designated as a leader of terrorist organizations and also dealt accordingly. But that's my take on it. Probably many of you will agree with me. But at least for now, Moscow has some different take, seems like, on it. Maybe because if they will designate them as terrorists, it will make it difficult to negotiate with them about anything. I get that, but same time, we cannot close our eyes on the truth that we are seeing on almost daily basis. All those so-called state institutions of Ukraine are terrorist organizations. That's true. And Zelensky is leader of those terrorists. So he is a terrorist also. Let me continue. This is RIA Novosti's report, according to which Lavrov made a statement that West is now imposing serious pressure on the states of Eurasian Economical Alliance and SNG. SNG is a union of independent states that was created after Soviet Union collapse on base of former Soviet republics. And according to Lavrov, even though many members of these organizations, former Soviet republics, don't want to do anything that will harm relationships between them and Russia, which will eventually play a huge role in terms of the economical development. Lavrov is admitting the pressure is too high, and it's not clear which of those countries will withstand this pressure. As you know, yesterday I did report that Russian Foreign Ministry did make statement about possibility that some republics in Central Asia will probably join anti-Russian coalition and impose sanctions on Russia. And basically Lavrov more diplomatically are saying exactly the same. And he also spoke about relationships between Russia and Armenia. And according to him, US is advising Yerevan, capital of Armenia, to denounce agreements with Russia about Russian military base and Russian border guards that are securing Armenian borders. And it's not clear. And according to Lavrov, what US does is not even diplomacy no more. It's just straight up bribery, because they are promising some mountains of gold if they will if Armenian leadership will destroy relationship with Russia. And well, because Pashinyan is a product of Soros, he is a Western asset, and his government, they are Western assets. I'm afraid this will happen. I'm afraid it's only a matter of time, and Yerevan will decide to cut ties with Russia, unfortunately. And I don't know what will happen to Armenia in that case, because just look at the map, man. Just look at the map. In one side, they have difficult relationships with Azerbaijan. On other side, it's Turkey, and Armenia and Turkey also have not the best relationships in the world. And yes, Armenia may end up in truly difficult situation if they will cut ties with Russia. But let's wait and see. Maybe Armenian leadership will realize how dangerous is to act accordingly with the U.S. demands, and maybe they will, refuse to listen to them. Who knows? This is RIA Novosti's report, according to which summit of US, Australia, India, and Japan was postponed because of this crisis in US that are taking place with about debt, US debt. And yesterday, as I reported, even finance minister of US came up with a statement that US may even default on 1st of June. Of course, US will not default. I'm not going to believe that US will default, man. That's not possible. But at least this difficult situation is already creating some issues on international stage. And as you can see, summit between US, Australia, India, and Japan was postponed. Good for India, really. Good for India, because less India will be associated with the West, better. That's my take on it. And by the way, when it comes to India, this is TASS News Agency's report. Foreign Ministry of India react on statements from Borrell, Joseph Borrell, who is head of EU's foreign policy maker, and he's one of the major EU diplomats. And he said just recently that EU may impose sanctions on India because they are exporting oil products that were created through processing of Russian oil. And Indian foreign ministry did react on it. Even Minister of Foreign Affairs of India, Subramanyam Jaishankar, did make the statements that Joseph Borrell should learn better decisions that was made by EU leadership, according to which oil that was processed in third countries is not considered Russian oil no more. So Borrell basically just demonstrating that he's out of touch. He's threatening left and right, just everybody. And I don't know, he's an embarrassment of European Union and Europe as a whole. And this person is legendary. I mean, Subramanyam Jaishankar. I did see on internet many statements from him. He's foreign minister of India, and he is just a legend. I do advise you to listen to some of his statements if you did not have already. He puts into their places just everyone who will say some crap to him about India and India's policies. I mean, he is a great leader. He is a great leader, man. And this time he put in his place Joseph Borrell, because it seems like Borrell don't really knows what kind of decisions they are making in EU. At this stage, probably nothing gonna surprise us, but yet again, time to time, I mean, it does make you smile when you realize level of degradation of European diplomacy and politicians, so-called politicians. You cannot call them even politicians, man. They are stupid as hell, though. This is TASS News Agency's report, according to which EU will not include in 11th package of anti-Russian sanctions ban of Russian pipeline gas. Well, not really surprising, but it was EU leaders that were, threatening Russia that they will impose more sanctions on the Russian energy sector. So where are they? Or maybe some EU officials are realizing that they truly need to maintain some level of cooperation with Russia. But I guess in 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th package of anti-Russian sanctions, they will eventually ban any import-export, any trade relationship between EU and Russia. That's the direction that they are moving. So if there will be no ban on Russian gas in 11th package of sanctions, pipeline gas, it will be in 12th or in 13th, but eventually we will probably end up in a situation when EU will ban any trade relationships, any exports and imports whatsoever between Russia and the EU. And this is going to be last news for today's update, today's first update. According to RIA Novosti, Chinese car manufacturers will have up to 60% of market share in Russia when it comes to car sales, which is an unbelievable number. I didn't expect this. I didn't expect that Chinese car manufacturers will reach such a high level in such a short time. But yes, according to Russian experts, this year Chinese car manufacturers will make billions and billions of dollars in Russia by selling their cars, and they will have 60% of market. Great news for China, good news for Russia also, because if there is demand, then demand somehow should be fulfilled. And if Chinese car manufacturers will do so, then okay, why not? It's a bad news for European car manufacturers, bad news for South Korean car manufacturers and US car manufacturers. But for Russia and China, this is quite good news. But still, I'm quite surprised how rapidly Chinese companies are expanding on Russian market, man. They know how to do business. That's for sure. So yes, this is it for now. I hope you will find this update interesting, and if so, please hit that like button. Come on, man, 48 minutes. Wow. I hope you will find this video interesting, and if so, please hit that like button, leave some commentary about any topic you like, and if you can, please share links to my videos and my channel with your friends on Facebook, Twitter, Telegram, or any other platform that you are active on. That may help me to reach wider audience. And if you think this channel is interesting, useful, and deserves to exist in this field of news and political commentary, please consider to support with small donations through PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, or by subscribing to my Patreon page, where I do upload some extras time to time. This is it for now. Have a great day. Sorry that video is so long. I truly did not expect this. I was thinking it's about 30-35 minutes. Well, so yes, have a nice day. Take care and see you soon.